Hi, folks. This is going to serve as our course introduction for English. See, the course number escapes me at the moment, but it's world literature. We'll look at the course number here in a second. I apologize for that. These are my. You'll come to find out that my videos are very sort of in the moment, unedited, as you know. You might see in the actual classroom if we were a synchronous class. But this is an asynchronous class. All of your communication with me will be either via email, be via announcements, or be via video like this, right? So what I'm going to do first is I'm going to screen share so that you all can see our Blackboard site, and I'm just going to show you some navigation to that effect, okay? So and there might be a few changes here and there. We're about a week out from the actual beginning of the semester. The beginning of the semester is officially Tuesday, the 21st of January, 2025. You will be able to see into the course um, the week a week prior. Tomorrow, actually, I'm recording um, this video on the evening of the 13th of January 2025. Um, but so there may be some slight changes to the website and so forth before that, just so that you're aware. But let's just give some take a look here. Okay. So actually, I'm getting ahead of myself. This is showing our or syllabus page. We're not quite there yet. Where are we? Yeah, I don't know why we've got 7 announcements. I suppose those announcements are carried over from the previous semester. That is what I am willing to bet here. So apparently, when the course copy went through, it copied um, the announcements, perhaps. But of course, you only need to worry about announcements dated January 2025 and on out, right? Between January and May. Um, so let's just look at the um, course a little bit as it is right now. So you'll be able to access everything through course content. Okay. So if you click course content, what we have is we have all of the weeks for the given semester um, on here. And what we're going to do is we are going to take a look at our course syllabus. And in order to show you, in order to display this on the Zoom video, I may have to stop sharing briefly and then re-up. So we'll just move through as needed. But this video will also be here by the time you're looking at this, and you'll get an announcement to that effect ahead of time and stuff like that. But anyway, right now we've got the course syllabus. So if we want to click on the course syllabus button here, it's going to take us this will be gone. This will, or actually will be replaced with the current video. This is a year old video that's in here right now. That'll be gone. And the new video that you're watching at present will be uploaded. But anyway, we'll click on the course syllabus tab. That will actually allow you to look at it. I don't want to, let's see. Let me just do this again. Um, I'm just going to save it to my desktop, and I will open it here in just a moment. Um, but I'm going to stop sharing this screen, and then I'm going to actually open the file. You're not going to be seeing me open the file because I'm not sharing the screen. I'm just going to keep talking to you while I'm doing this. And then I'm going to share that file in just a minute. Okay. All right. So let's for the moment here, I'm going to share this screen now. You should be able to see the syllabus screen. All right. Um, so this course is delivered through Blackboard. There are no meeting times for the course. So you go on at your leisure and you complete the items for the course. And as long as you get your work in by the designated due date, you are considered to be attending. Okay. Um, the most important date, as far as early on in the course, is going to be February 5th. That is the census date, right? So I have to have evidence of you participating in the course prior to February 5th. So I need your first assignment, which will be discussion board one. I need that submitted to me correctly, right? Before February the 5th, so that you can get credit for participating in the course. Now, as far as, and I'm getting ahead of myself here again, and I apologize, but as far as late materials and things like that, I don't have a late policy for the course other than to say that all your late work needs to be submitted by May the 5th, which is the last day of class. Okay. Last day of the regular semester prior to finals week. So you can keep that in mind. However, um, submitting your materials late causes problems, right? You tend to be overwhelmed if you don't submit your materials on time, particularly with discussion boards and stuff like that. And we'll talk about that here in a minute. But particularly when we go back in the Blackboard site and I show you where the discussion boards are and stuff like that. Because with the discussion boards, you need to submit an initial post and then you need to respond to somebody else's post, right? So you can't do that, right? If you know if you haven't submitted, your post, it's hard to do. It's hard to keep up with the discussions if you are not doing it regularly. And if you're not reading regularly, if you're not keeping up with the reading, it's extremely difficult in a literature course. So although what I'm trying to convey to you is that if you run into a bind and for whatever week it is, you're not able to submit your assignment, whatever, that's fine. Just submit it the next week, okay? But please do not get yourself into the habit of not submitting your work on time. That will be exceptionally detrimental to you in the course. So please make every effort to submit your work on time. Now, having gone through that spiel, let's look at the syllabus. So the my virtual office, if you will, this is the Zoom code for it. That's going to factor in when we do one-to-one conferencing and stuff like that. Um, but that's much later. My office, if you're on campus and you want to run it, you want to communicate with me and you happen to be on campus, my office is classroom hall 316. This phone number I should have taken off of the syllabus. It no longer functions. Okay, so this phone number is no longer functional. The way to contact me, right, is my um Tamusa email, right? This is the way to contact me. This semester, spring 2025, my office hours are going to be 9 to 10:45 on Tuesday and Thursday. And then, of course, by appointment. And because we're an asynchronous class, we have a little bit of leeway, right? Like I can, Zoom you at a particular time, whenever we can work it out. I'm not opposed to connecting with you in the evening. If you need to connect with me in the evening or whatever, we can figure all that out. Okay. Standard COVID-19 statement. And you can read through this at your leisure. Again, of course, our first discussion board post is going to be questions that you may have about the syllabus, right? So you can read through this. I'm not going to go through all 19 pages of this verbatim, but really this is what my goal is for you. And hopefully, the goal for the department at large and the university at large is that you develop a relationship to reading, a relationship to literature that is pleasant, that is invigorating, that from which you can take something, right? And that will enhance your not only your academic experience but your life in some way, right? Um, okay, but you can read through the specifics here. Um, there is no required text for the course. All of the material is going to be linked through Blackboard. Okay. Um, we have the benefit of fair use as a university, so we can post some things. There's a lot of great material out there that's made available through Creative Commons and so on and so forth. So we're going to make use of a lot, and it's not more money to come out of your pocket. You've already paid for the course, right? Um, so I'm going to be asking you to engage with a lot of text here. I mean, this is a literature course. This is a literature survey. So you're going to be engaging with a lot of text every week. It's okay if not all of it appeals to you. Okay. But give it a shot. Right. And you'll see, especially when we get to the discussion board, when you look at the way the discussion board questions are worded, um, I'm not necessarily expecting you to engage every single work that I put in a particular week's folder. That would just be um, unrealistic, right? Um, what I want you to do is to explore and to engage your own curiosity and just and you might read, say for example, a little bit of the Odyssey and maybe not necessarily dig that so much, but maybe something else in that week's folder, you vibe with a little bit more. And so when asked to write a discussion for that week, you have several different options. As with our reading journals, I'm asking you to engage, to journal about, to delve into what you're finding interesting, what you're finding challenging, any questions that you may have about a given about the reading that you're doing for the course in that particular period of time. You know, I'm really looking for engagement with the work. I'm not necessarily looking for you to say, "Oh, this is the best thing I've ever read." Well, that's probably bullshit, right? Maybe it is the best thing you've read, but I doubt that that's going to be the case every week, right? Um, okay. So you'll create 4 journals during the semester. With each journal that you'll create, I'm asking you to write a one-page cohesive reflection about what you're reading. Again, that could be what you enjoy about the piece, questions that you have about the piece, ways in which the piece relate to you, things like that, right? Because out of these journals might come an idea for your major project for the course. But we'll get into that here in a little bit, and also as we move through the course, right? So just to pause for a moment, tip for the past several years, I have used labor-based grading or forms of labor-based grading. I am not strictly doing that this time. This semester, you're going to ultimately have a point value that adds up to 1,000, right? So your grade will be based on however number of points that you have divided by 1,000, right? So if you've got 900 points at the end, that's a 90, that's an A, right? So your journals and your discussion boards are both worth 60 points each. If you do a pretty decent job, you hit the length requirement and so forth, and I feel that you're engaged with it, that's 60 points. If you just kind of do a half-ass job, that's 30 points, right? Okay. Um, Most of the time, if you make a fair attempt, like for example, I asked you to write a one-page journal. If you write a one-page journal, you're probably going to get that 60 points. Okay. Um, I'm not looking at necessarily grammar and punctuation, and so on, right? I'm not necessarily looking at that in the journals. Same thing goes for the discussion board posts. If you're engaging one of the prompts for that given discussion forum, you're gonna get, and you do so responsibly, and you respond to somebody else's post because you're supposed to respond to somebody else's post, right? Um, you're gonna get your 60 points, right? If you don't respond to somebody else's post or whatever, you might get 30. Okay. The big crux of the term, like your big big thing for the class is going to be your literary project. So that can take a number of different forms. It can be a traditional essay where you engage a critical theory. And there's a lot of critical theory material that's available to you on Blackboard, um, where you're looking at a particular work or works through a critical lens. You could be creative, doing a creative project in response to an engagement with the works that we're looking at. Like, for example, I've had students write songs, I've had students write poems, I've had students write short stories, I've had students do paintings. I had a student design a text-based video game, okay, based on a work of literature for this course. I've had students I had students do I had a student do a very involved diorama um, with Warhammer miniatures. So it's really the literary project can take a lot of different forms, but it's about the depth of your engagement with the work, right? It's about you engaging with the work, you um responding to the work, you breathing life into that work in some way, right? You looking at that work in some way that's interesting, that's meaningful, and so on. More on the literary project as we move through the course. Bottom line is you turn in anything really for you turn in like something that shows me that you have a trajectory, that you have an idea, right, for the literary project. You're going to get that 100 points there for that first draft of that. Okay. The revised draft of that is worth up to 150 points because that's a major stamp of the semester. That, incidentally, is also your final exam, is the revised draft of the literary project. You will also do a final reflection for the course, which really is just going to be a reflection over your um, uh, exploration, your experience through the course, right? And that you should also take fairly seriously. So that's also worth 150 points. But if you look through this, well, first of all, I've made a list of all of the assignment due dates here. This is also already on your Blackboard. It should already be populated in your calendar on your Blackboard site. If it's not, there's technical glitches. But um, all right. But here's where all the assignments are due. As we move through the syllabus, you'll see the actual grade breakdown. So all materials need to be submitted as .docx, which is Microsoft Word, or PDF files, or links, like if you're submitting a YouTube video or something. No Google Docs or Pages, please. No Google Docs or Pages. No Google Docs or Pages. I cannot access your Google Doc with my Tamusa email, right? I cannot do it. It has to do with securities, it has to do with a bunch of other stuff, and it has to do with the fact that all of my Google for the past 20 some years, right, since the inception of Google, is linked to another email address that I am not sharing with you. Okay. A personal email address. So please don't do that. SharePoints, I'm going to be using some SharePoints myself. I'm going to be using quite a bit. The difference between me using a SharePoint and you using a SharePoint is I know how to take the securities off of them. If you do not know how to take the security off of a SharePoint and make it visible to everybody, please do not submit something using a SharePoint. If you know how to make a SharePoint visible to everybody, right? So that regardless of what device I'm on, regardless of what, anything, that I can access that. If you know how to do that, you can use a SharePoint. If you don't do it. Okay. Okay. Don't try to share a SharePoint with my email address. Don't do any of that because it won't work. Okay. So don't use a SharePoint unless you know how to take the securities off of that SharePoint and make it visible to everybody. Okay. All right, here we go. So here is the grade breakdown. Um, shows you how you get to that 1,000 points. Um, this is talking about Blackboard Ultra. For whatever reason, I have not been switched over to Ultra yet, so that's not going to affect our course. Um, I've already told you about the census date. Late work is due by May 5th. The later that you submit something from its due date, the less likely you are to get any commentary of any substance on it. Okay, that's the trade-off. I mean, I'm taking late work to May 5th, but if you expect me to engage with you and engage with your work, you need to submit your work on time. Okay. All right. Please use my Tamusa email to communicate with me. I do not check Blackboard messages. Okay. So here's our discussion thread. Here's this talking about discussion threads. Um, these should be, they should engage the question being asked, should be detailed, right? Should reference specific passages, etc. Um, right? And should be written in short paragraphs. In other words, don't answer a discussion board question with like a single sentence. Don't answer it with something like a yes or a no, right? Answer it with something open-ended and something substantive. That's all I'm asking you to do, right? Not interested in right or wrong. I'm interested in why you're saying what you're saying, right? Um, all responses, including responses to colleagues' threads, should be written as complete sentences. Um, I've already talked to you about the reading journals, literary project I've mentioned. Um, again, I'm telling you, I do not monitor Blackboard messages. Don't send me anything through Blackboard messages because Blackboard messages does not alert me to anything. Okay, so you could have a message in there for 3 weeks and I wouldn't know about it. Okay, attendance for an asynchronous course is essentially akin to submitting your work, right? So as long as you're submitting your work, I know that you're attending because you're active in the course. That's what's important. But you need to submit your work. Okay. And again, I have to have that first assignment, that discussion board one. I have to have that prior to February 5th because that is the census date. If and I am, they will hunt me down if I don't report that at that point. Okay. You all know about plagiarism. So for AI, here's the deal with AI. You can use AI to help you come up with ideas, to spur your imagination, your creativity, etc. But you should not ethically use AI to do your work for you, right? So like to generate lists, to generate you know, say possible ideas for topics, things like that, that's fine, right? Um, you can even ask it, say, for example, if you wrote an essay for your if for your literary project, and I happen to mention, you've got a comma splice, just be aware that you have comma splices, and you may not be versed on comma splices, but you can ask ChatGPT, how do you correct a comma splice, and it will tell you. That's a perfectly good use for AI. Right. So the community agreement's important. It essentially, and you can, of course, I'm asking you in week one to read through the syllabus carefully, right? But it's essentially saying that as a literature course, especially, we're going to deal with potentially some sensitive topics and so forth. And so it's really just a call to respect one another. I mean, you're going to have people in class that have different perspectives than you do. Um, and so the idea is to hold those perspectives in suspension and to not just outright, you know, be disrespectful to somebody because they hold a different point of view than you do, right? Um, which is pretty much about like what it is to be an adult anyway. Um, okay. Y'all are very, if y'all are familiar with Tamusa, which I'm assuming, the vast majority of you are, about our resources on campus already. I cannot emphasize enough the writing center. Please make yourself abreast of their services and so forth, not only for our course, but for all of your courses. Their services are fantastic, as well as, of course, student health and wellness. If you have a need for them, disability services. That's one thing the caveat that I will say here is that I cannot provide you accommodation as far as that goes, unless I receive um, documentation from that office. So, but I will say though that I try to work with every student with your particular needs, and so I tend to take students at their word, as far as your needs and so forth. But um, it is always best to have your needs documented. Okay, just looking to see if I'm leaving anything out. Okay, and so now we're getting into the uh schedule, right? So week one is basically just the syllabus, right? Week two will be the Epic of Gilgamesh and related material and so on. I'm going to stop sharing the syllabus and I'm going to go over to our Blackboard site because it's a little bit more dynamic and it's easier for me to show you stuff. So I'm going to stop share here, and then I'm going to share our Blackboard site. Yes. Okay. So let's go to our Blackboard site again, course content. So as we look through the various weeks, it has the links and different stuff you'll need. So if you look at week two, you can go in here. There's a folder for all the material related to the Epic of Gilgamesh. Now, if I click on this, right, you're going to say, good God, Kurt, that's a bunch of shit. That's a lot of material, right? You're going to say, okay, yes, it is. So my major professor in one of my major professors in graduate school used to just hand us almost telephone books every week of material, and he would say, now you don't have to read all this now, but it's good that you know that it's here, that you know that it exists, right? So given everyone's very, very intense schedules, right, I'm not necessarily expecting you to read all of this or look at all this. You're about to see how unscripted my videos are. Hey baby, you're on video. You're you're on video. I mean, I'm talking to you while making a video. Um, I don't I don't necessarily care. I can microwave the what you made for lunch, the rest of it, or whatever. But yeah. Okay. Love you. Bye. Yeah, so that's how unscripted my videos are. Uh, so what I was saying, I would at least like you to look at, for example, my recap videos is if you see a recap video, that's my perspective on it, right? A lot of them will have these introductory videos. These are very well produced videos that had a lot of money put into them. I didn't make, but they've had a lot of money put into them, and and they're really, really good. So I would expect you to maybe, perhaps look at these, and obviously the text itself. Um, Spark Notes, for people that vibe with Spark Notes, like to have those extra apparatus that's there. Um, the audiobook of Gilgamesh is there. I'm an audio learner, so anytime there's an audiobook for something, I'm going to go for the audiobook. So I just put that there. But this translation of Gilgamesh is really kind of the standard, right? Um, so anyway, that's just an example, right? But you'll see, um, and then optional side reading. Uh, if you want to engage with the Book of Genesis, because it is, as you'll find out, it is related to the Epic of Gilgamesh. There's there's various options here. Um, there's various options here on that. There's a and so forth. There's my take on, and I'm not asking you to read the whole Book of Genesis either. If you look on the but um, but anyway, um, it's there. Okay. So then we have our first discussion board. There's a topic on deconstruction. So then we have our first discussion board where I'm asking you to look through the syllabus and in a brief paragraph or so, introduce yourself, what brings you to the course, and to talk about any questions that you may have about the syllabus. So to engage with the discussion board, you just click on it, and then you would create a thread, right? And then you would create a thread, give it a name, type in your stuff, click submit, right? Now, you're not going to be able to see anything on the discussion board until you create a thread. Once you create a thread on a given forum, then you can see everybody else's threads. Okay, but you're not going to be able to see your anything until you create a thread. So you can't just go in and copy somebody's stuff, right? Um, Not that anybody would necessarily do that, but that's kind of a fail safe, if you will. Okay, let me just go back. Okay, course content. Okay. So we go down to week 3. Your reading journal 1 is due. So I just want to show you real quick about that. Um, Click reading journal 1 when you're ready to submit it. Uh, you would type your reading journal out in Microsoft Word. Click upload file, browse local files, attach the Microsoft Word file or PDF. And then once it's attached, you click submit. Now you got to click submit. If you don't click submit, not saved on there, right? I mean, it's not uploaded. It would, so click submit rather than save draft. Okay. Um, let's go back to content, course content, and you can really just see this um throughout the term. This is kind of how it runs. Um, I don't want this video to be any longer than it already is, so I'm going to end this video now, and I will catch up with you later on. So I hope to, well, see you on the discussion board first. And anyway, if I didn't introduce myself at the beginning, I'm Kurt. I'm the instructor for the course. And you'll learn more about me as the semester goes on, or not. This depends on how the discussion boards flow and how my comments, what comes out in my comments on your stuff and stuff like that. Okay. All right. I'm really looking forward to this semester. Honestly, this is one of my favorite courses to teach. Um, I I look forward to teaching this as many times as I can during the year. And it's really kind of what keeps me going after 25 years of doing this. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm going to stop share, and then I'm going to end our video. Thanks, everybody.